A while back,
Really?
we were doing various and sundry things, and we decided that we needed, for an event, some way to show people how discriminating against us sucked.
Okay.
So we came up with a game.
Tell me more.
Basically,
We named it the
Tell me more about that.
The political expedience game.
yes, because you always hear from people, well, political expedience says we have to do this, and you're going to get the sucky side.
Okay.
And we got tired of that.
We would love to give you rights, but it takes up too much time, so we'll come back for you. And they never do.
No.
Yeah.
Just wait
Because political expedience, we have to rush it through. We have no time in the job that we
Right,
do to
but we'll
do
come back for
anything
you.
ever. But we will come back for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't worry.
Don't worry.
And so we did this game, and it's a very simple game. It's a sheet of paper, and it has, 20 different things on the back. And the idea is you roll the die, whatever the number comes up with, that's who we get to discriminate against horribly next year.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just
Because
add all the things.
our big complaint was it was always us. And so
pick
we had a
somebody
sheet.
new. Yeah.
Let's make this fair.
Or let's just, even it out a little bit. We don't mind a punch or two, but every time being on the bottom, that's a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody else should share that well.
And so, it's there. And there were lines for discriminate against no one or everyone.
That's awesome.
And so people would roll the die, and it's like, okay, let's turn it over and see who we're discriminating against next year. And usually the way it would work is they'd roll the die, they'd get a number, they'd look at it. Oh, I don't like that. So you can roll it again. It's fine. And about 3 tries, they're like, I don't like this game. Neither do we.
Neither
That's
do we.
the problem.
That's the point. Well,
But see, our sheet looks like this, and it just shows strands, etc.
You roll the dice 6. Well, that's somebody who's pregnant. Have you ever been pregnant before? Do you know anyone who has been pregnant?
Or might be.
Yeah, of course
Yeah.
I have. And I'm like, yeah, well, do you know discrimination exists for those people? They're like, yeah, it kind of sucks. And I'm like, I know, and this time it's their turn. But roll the dice.
We're all going to
And then they
horribly
roll the
discriminate
dice.
against them for a
And
year.
because there's a really cute die, they're like really excited. It's a big thing, so they're like, "Ooh, okay, I get to do it again." Because they go into game mode, and they're like, "Okay, well, number 2," and I'm like, "Okay, great. So this is race. People are discriminated against race. Are you aware of that?" Like, yeah. And I was like, "And you don't occur to me as white. So does that happen often?" And they were like, "Fuck yeah!" And I was like, "And so like now you get another punch." And you're like, "I hate this game." And then really,
And then, we have politicians on there too.
yeah, and they're like, so do we. And it was wonderful because we did it at a volunteer rally before Pride, where you were supposed to find people that wanted to volunteer toward your org, and they almost every time were like, I want to volunteer with you guys. Like, you get it.
You understand.
Like whatever it is
and
you
we
do.
never, proselytized or told them anything. We just let them,
Play a game.
form their own opinion about it.
Roll the dice.
I love this because then the levels of cognitive dissonance that are just going to start happening with the realizations as they keep rolling, and you just see the whole levels change.
Well,
on
and see,
people's faces.
that's the
I would just
thing,
be sitting there like,
every time.
And it was always funny because they look at it, well, I don't like that. And it'd be like, okay, so roll again.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
And they wouldn't like the next one either, usually.
Because that's how life goes.
Yeah.
Right?
Sometimes they would like it. And it's like, okay.
it's life, right? That's what you keep
Then
telling me.
that's what we're doing.
Yeah, you
And
just
then-
have these things come up, and then you have space, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess I could do it today. Oh, wait, now I'm discriminated against again. Oh, damn it. Okay. Oh, well, now I changed my life. Okay, I guess I could do it today. I can manage this, right? Like all this stress that we're just like backpacking on over and over again. Every goddamn like bill that doesn't help us, and then they're like, wait a minute, this is a lot of bills.
Yeah,
you know,
a lot of bills. And then then I'll start tacking on constant streams of media that are going to be causing extra effort to just put a little bit more salt into places that are already.
And do
sensitive.
they ever get it right as to what's going
No.
on?
No,
or
because
do
they only
they
have
make
a few
it
seconds.
worse?
Yeah.
Or-
And the problem is the first few seconds are okay.
Oh, it's news expedience now. They don't have time to do the work.
Right.
It's very
Yeah.
fast. They can't
Which
possibly tell the facts.
But then we end up with
and
people.
yet they can't.
But then we end up with people who can't do the work because they haven't done it.
Right. Nor would they want to.
Well, because then you gotta feel something. You gotta put yourself in other people's shoes. You gotta have a little bit of empathy, small amount at least.
I personally haven't been employed long if I can't do the work. So I don't know that life. That's some
must be
privileged
nice.
life. Like you just show up, be who you are, ruin things, and don't do any work. Like and you still get paid, elected, and you get to have power. That's bizarre.
No, that's the way it is.
Apparently,
It is wild. It's wild. Just watching, at any point in time, just watching that whole dynamic just go down, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
What are you
there's
seeing?
Why?
There's my standard question.
Why?
Why?
Like,
Why?
You see it? You got it? We played this game?
Totally.
You understand? You see
Yeah.
it? You felt it?
It's a question you've
second?
asked since you were like 3 years old.
Oh my God, yes.
Why?
Uh-huh.
Why?
Why?
Because I said so. Damn it.
Damn it.
And as I've gotten older, I've actually uttered that because I said so. When, oh, damn it. Oh, no. Perpetuating the cycle.
So you want to tell people who might end up listening what we're doing?
Oh, maybe.
We're having some pals and some chats
No,
and
this
some
is
coffee.
22 Sides podcast.
Okay. It's
And we
22
have neat
sites.
people here today.
Absolutely.
Or a neat person anyway.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay. Yes, I am Amber. Do I say my last name too?
If you want to.
Are you sure you're Amber?
I might be Amber today.
But like today.
Just maybe today.
Amber feels good.
Amber
Okay.
feels good. Any other given day, it might be asshole or something like that.
Well,
You can be Amber and asshole.
Amber, sometimes they're both true all the time, but it just depends on who we're talking to and
It's
the
a
perception.
combo.
Yeah, it's a combo. I'll accept both hats. And we've been friends for, I tried to figure this out the other day.
a long time when you had a Mustang.
Yeah.
You just got a Mustang and you were just completing physical therapy assistant school. We met at Slick Willie's where we were shooting pool.
I was still in
And
school
Amber
then.
took everybody outside to hear what a
Hear my car.
V6 or a V8 was.
V8?
I don't know cars. You know cars. But you
gonna
were
buy a Mustang
you
and be anything less.
You were revving it for everyone.
I was.
Yeah.
That was
2006?
I think so.
Yeah.
6 or 7.
6 or 7.
So, 19?
Yeah, a long
Years?
time. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I've only had one other. I still have one friend that is longer in existence, but Amber is my longest friend.
I'm sorry.
Other than my school friend. No. I think it's wonderful. I think it's wonderful. We've been through a lot of seasons together.
Oh my god, all of them. I've known you for like 5 plus now.
Oh, me?
Probably.
You're looking my direction?
Probably.
Yes, I'm thinking. That's my.
This is
This
Alexis, I'm
Yeah,
saying.
no, this is great. When Amber does math, she
I have
tilts
to
her
tilt my head
head,
and
she
look to
takes
the
a
ceiling.
nap,
I mean,
she wakes back up and
It's
says,
not
what
like
did I
she's
do?
looking my direction. It's more of a looking up at the
I'm like,
ceiling.
wait, it was wonderful. Like,
I mean,
It was almost like, help me out.
well, okay, yeah, I mean, I know I sometimes come from a pontification, godly thing, goddess type approach, but you don't really have to look up and do it that way.
yeah.
if I had to guess, you met Alexis at the Unity Banquet.
Maybe.
Was that the first time you met her?
No.
No? Okay, before.
But I'm trying to like actually pinpoint that.
Did you meet her before to help her with physical therapy exercise after one of her surgeries?
Maybe.
Did she come here and help you with
I don't
that?
think so.
That sounds like something I would talk her into.
Nope.
Okay.
You might have
don't
asked
know
questions
when.
about it,
Probably.
but I don't think
You didn't come over for that.
Yeah.
I think I knew of you when you were still doing the book, but I had not met you yet. I knew of you.
Because Alexis is in the gender book. She's on the generational page.
Well, it wasn't just because of the book. It was because Robin was talking about you, so your ears were burning.
Yes, I talk about Alexis a lot. So there's so many people in my life that know about Alexis that haven't met
I
Alexis.
think we might have met at Chances.
I think so.
Okay.
That sounds about right. It was.
Okay.
I
The
think it was
lesbian
like
bar.
an out of place. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I don't.
Was
Oh,
there a
you just
show?
had to say that. No.
Yeah. What? That's no longer there.
I know, it's no
gone.
longer there. It's no longer
Now
there.
it's like
And was it a great bar? No, not really. But it was very interesting.
It had variety. There was a country dance space, a rap dance space, and then a live music dance space. That's a lot of square
And
footage.
the cool part was
Yeah.
that there were lots of drinks served, but
yeah.
you know, the way each space was laid out, there were steps to get in, steps to get out, etc. So if you were too drunk, you were trapped.
You were gonna make it.
That's true. It was like,
gonna make it.
it was kind of like its own maze. Like
Yeah.
if you were on the walking trail from one bar to the other, you just sort of had to walk it all the way through. Even if your car wasn't parked over there, then you had to
doesn't
walk it
matter.
all the way back.
Yeah, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. And if you're parked behind Mary's, okay, cool. Yeah, you cross that. Those what is it? Was that wall that crosses right between there?
Yes.
You get across
Yes.
that median without getting run over
Yes.
at whatever time in the morning.
And
it was.
then, you know, if you happen to be parked because maybe you had dinner or something up at
Right.
Reva's,
Rivas.
Yeah.
then, you know, late at night, there was this little triangle of trees there that were,
Like a hotel. Yeah.
yeah, it was like Mugger Central.
There you go. The cruise, the after cruising station.
Yeah.
Mary's is the gay
I felt
guy
like
bar
I
that
belonged
wasn't
because
there
they tried
anymore.
to mug me. It didn't work out. But
Yes. Alexis has gotten into a few unfortunate mugging issues over there, but we were just talking about the other day. It used to be that But if somebody got into an issue, these huge gay guys that are super
you'd
built,
scream
that are
for
ready to like beat someone up, will come out
You
and
scream
like
for
be
help from
ready.
Mary's.
Yeah, Mary's.
And they would
safe
show
bet.
up because they like beating up people.
They thought anything.
And even if they didn't, when they showed up, you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I'm like, oh shit. Okay, well, you're gonna deal with them now. I'm gonna go. You don't need me here anymore for this.
And usually the car that brought the bad guys would just leave without them.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Yep.
Alexis has a few coulda went worse stories that are not traumatic, that are self-defense stories.
I think all of my stories could have went worse.
Coulda went worse.
60 seconds.
A few of them did go worse.
Yes. Have you ever been mugged or
Most of
anything?
mine-
Or
not
I know
mugged,
you do
but, like-
self-defense stuff all the time.
Oh yeah. Not necessarily. It was maybe an attempted mugging, but
Okay.
it ended up just being a fight.
Not trying to bring up trauma.
No, these are fine.
But also, let's lean into it. No, just kidding.
I mean, oh, you're not talking about with other girls. Got it. No, usually a couple times over by, it wasn't over near Chance's or Mary's in that little area right there. It was always closer to if we were over by Numbers and around
okay.
that area over there. If we were walking from Numbers back over to that little part of the neighborhood right there,
Right.
that
South
is
Beach.
where,
Yeah,
that's where it got a
Blur.
little dicey a few
Yeah.
times. And a friend of mine lived in those apartments because there's South Beach and then there's apartments like right across the street.
Like the mining company.
Yeah.
Yeah, Baba Yaga's.
a little
No,
further down. It's
no, further down.
It's across from. There's still there.
Cat-
It's down the opposite side of Westheimer from where you live.
By Katz's? Okay.
Nuh-uh.
Okay.
No,
No,
No.
further down.
further down. It's like literally South Beach. You look across the street. They're right there. Those apartments have been there for
Okay.
ever.
Wonderful. We're just
And-
taking everyone on a Montrose map.
nostalgia tour.
But also, I love how Amber didn't say where she actually lived.
Actually, I totally forgotten
I love
about the
you.
fact that I was with a couple other people when someone tried to mug us there. And my comment was, look, we're too fucking drunk to mess with this.
There you go.
It's not going to work out because we can't get money out for you.
Yeah, like, I don't even know what I'm doing
And
right
the
now.
person just went away.
This isn't going to work.
And the person I was with who frequently talks about how, well, if anyone tries to mug me and it's the macho
yeah.
thing, that person was already leaving.
Oh my gosh. It's hard being in a situation where something might go down and you realize, like, that's not the friend to have with you.
Yeah, exactly.
I have those friends, and I'm
Okay.
like, clearly, I'm gonna be the one.
But they're the ones who have told you all the stuff they're going to do to the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like,
And it's
I
like, you're going to
have,
do it from over there?
I have no, thankfully, no stories of somebody trying to mug me, but although I have been uber aware in those neighborhoods. Amber and I went to a movie theater one time, and a guy, I got out of the car, I was just getting done from work, I was changing into some pants, and
So you're
this-
taking your
We were
clothes
by
off.
the, we were at Edwards Theater.
Yeah.
At the parking garage.
Yeah.
They were off 59.
Amber's getting out of the passenger seat. I'm in the driver's seat. I'm going to switch pants. Yes, I was taking my clothes off.
I just wanted to clarify for the audience
Just
and
quick
take-
wardrobe change, you know, like you
Because
do.
we were in the Mustang. That's
Yeah,
why.
out of work drag into like theater drag, I guess. And so this guy was driving forward, but he had his head completely turned at me. And that is such an irritant for me, because if he had gotten in an accident, I mean, whose fault is that? Like, I don't know.
It's
Totally
his.
yours.
I don't
Totally.
know. Anyways.
I don't know. I'm gonna blame you.
So I said, I was not a kind person at the time, but I said, take a picture, it'll last longer. And Amber said,
But it wasn't a statement like she
No.
just said. She screamed it in the middle of this parking garage.
Very quietly, I'm sure.
Yeah.
no. And Amber says, no, Robin, not right now. I have the wrong shoes for this.
Actually, the phrase was more like, "God damn it, I don't have the right shoes for this
Yeah.
shit, Robin."
But she was ready to roll.
I have flip flops that day. I'm like, "Oh well, I guess my toes are gonna get jacked up today."
Yeah.
I'm like, God. I was like, I don't want my toes broke today.
Shit, so if you ever need a co-pilot on support, Amber's definitely ready, even when you're not. So
We've had a couple times when we've
Even when you're not.
even when you're not.
yeah, we've had a couple of times when we've had situations at the Unity banquet, and we had to spend time telling people, no, we'll take care of it. You don't need to.
Yes. Amber and her wife are like,
We got it.
the
We got it.
best looking
It's like,
bodyguards you can
not
ask
yet,
for.
maybe. Yeah.
And they're ready to roll.
No, we're gonna hit you now. Like, walk away.
They're like, wait, we get to go to a banquet and roll someone? This is awesome. This is great.
This is the best party we've been to in a while.
People are always worried, like, what are you going to do for security? I'm like, half of these people can handle themselves.
They'll be fine. And the fact that they've made it to the age they are
Yes.
should tell you something.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's like, what's this brand that I follow sometimes? They hit like, beware of the old man that is in the world of young, it participates in the world of young men.
Uh-huh.
Like, speaking more of combat sports
Sure,
in that
sure.
aspect, but it's like same is true for anywhere. Beware the person that is older in a world that is experiencing a lot of violence, because that's the person you don't pick the fight with. Like you're like, no, let me go. I go this way.
I've explained to people I don't have enough energy to do anything but kill you.
Yeah, exactly. I have to get you hard and
I
fast.
can't have this fight thing. It's
Whoa.
fun. I just have to take you out as fast as I can.
Yeah, and it's not going to be the way you think either. I'm going to pick up the heaviest, meanest thing I can swing at you, and it's going to be that, and repeatedly.
And worst
Yes.
comes to worst, it'll just be me with all of my weight right on top of some very sensitive spot of yours.
Yeah, ruthless, the most ruthless, and that's the thing too. Like I think people who are either ready or willing to do these kind of things. Like I thought I was the only one who did this until I started hanging around. And Ellen, a few of my other friends, like I take stock. I'm like, what are they good at? What are they not good at? If it's shit goes down, what are they going to do? What am I going to have to do in relation
so
to this
you're
context?
like constantly zombie apocalypsing your
And
friends.
I didn't know that people didn't
That's
do
what
that.
I do.
Yeah.
I didn't know that people didn't do that until I started talking to other friends.
Oh,
I'm
no
like,
wonder we got along so well.
yeah, I'm like, what do you mean you didn't know where the exits are in the room? Like, you didn't
Yeah.
notice the 15 different things in the room
Like,
of
shit,
people.
I'm going to be a man down with this person.
Yeah, but I'm like, okay, well, clearly they don't see these things, so I am. And so just crank up the paranoia just a tad today, and then... Or alertness.
But it's
I
not
should have awareness.
paranoia if it happens.
It's not. Yeah, it's preparedness and always being ready. So that way, if you don't have to fight and you get the hell away, because hitting people hurts. Like it doesn't feel good, and you won't feel it at that moment. Later, you're like, why? And then
Why? Again,
so why? What?
Body says why.
And then I think it's also important to know. I think whether you're a fighter, whether you're not, I think it's important to know. Everybody in the world should know what it's like to get hit in the face. So that how you're
You're
going to
not
react.
the only person that says that.
Yeah.
You need to know what it feels like to have somebody your size overpower you. You need to know what it feels like to have somebody bigger than you overpower you and what you're going to do in that situation. And then conversely, you need to know what it feels like to get punched in the face. And the nose is one thing, because everybody's eyes water and you're like, I'm crying, my nose, I got hit in the nose. And then what it feels like to get hit in the jaw or the eye or anything like that. And I'm like, well, how do you respond? Some people respond
Freeze.
with like, and they, respond quickly. Some people get angry and go forward. That's me. I would have to guess that's probably you. And I don't think you're too far behind.
I was going to say that would be called guy's adrenaline.
Yeah.
It's like,
depends,
okay, I've got 2 minutes of...
Here we go. Yeah,
It is good to know, because even our most trained professionals don't know until they're in a moment and they freeze. It's important to know.
And
So-
every situation can be different. You might react differently in every situation. So the more you can practice it, the more you know.
I was going to say, and my thing is, I tend to react before I think.
That too.
If it's
Don't think
something
about it.
attacking me.
Yeah, just go.
And it's like...
Oh, I do not. I go into like a big thinking bubble. No.
That's when you die.
How can I phrase it and we'll be done by then?
Yeah.
We'll be done. And you're like, why are you still thinking about this? Just now. We're waiting on you now. Like, we already did our part.
Amber and I have had a few conversations that I'll probably not be the one to be leading the zombie apocalypse. I'll be the one that like takes care of people along the way and then eventually dies.
Like, I need you to run faster, friend.
It was going to happen anyway.
I'm glad we're done with the zombie parties, by the way. I hated those.
Yes.
I mean, it's always stupid things.
Yeah.
Speaking of stupid things, I think my phone's decided to ring all day.
Go for it. Do you want to see who it is?
I'm not even going to look at it.
Well, it's going to be it's because you're doing something else. I'll sit there and nobody will call me or talk to me while I'm trying to do nothing.
And, I thought about taking it off the hook, and then I'm like, if I do that, it'll go all day long.
I think it's okay. I think we can block out the back, or like people know people.
Oh,
have phones.
I was going to say,
I don't think it's a big
it's
deal.
easy to get rid of the sound. I mean, it may not even show up.
Yeah,
But,
no big
but
deal.
yeah.
No big deal.
But, when I was talking
This
to
isn't
going...
a silent studio. We're good.
I was going to
At
say,
least
that would
there's
be
not
third
like
floor,
a
and the
bunch
third
of
floor is fairly
lawn
silent.
guys or something here. Yeah, that'd be
Except,
tough.
it takes me forever to catch my breath after going up to the third floor.
Yeah. Well,
But I mean, with the zombie parties and those sorts of things, I always used to do the zombie killer approach.
okay.
And the real question was, I had like 2 very fake machetes that I usually sort of wore on my back. And sometimes I didn't have fake machetes in them. and
You never know.
more than once I've reached back, started to pull that has a lot of weight to it. I think we'll just not do that one.
Amber and Alexis like knives.
Yeah, knives are nice things.
Knives are great. And then learning how to throw them properly is also a fun little party trick. People are like, oh, wait. And you're like, funk. And it goes and it stays.
Yeah.
And then you look cool. When you don't look cool is when you throw it just wrong. And
it bounces off.
Yeah. You're like, dang it. Like,
Comes back, sticks in your foot.
yeah. Have to do a quick head.
But you know what the worst thing than throwing knives and doing that is? Throwing a tomahawk and having it bounce back at you.
Yes.
Oh.
Scary. I have some in the car. I have one that I was just gifted by Alexis that stays where I can reach it at all times. And then I have two that are professional throwers in the back because going to the axe throwing places is
That's when they're running away. I mean, when they're running toward you. You never do anything if they're running away.
Yeah. Wait,
It's
come
just
back and
if they
face me.
turned around at the last
wasted,
second, got it in the
yeah.
back
I'm
of their
racing
head.
them to get in front of them. No, I said face me. This won't look good if you're running.
Of course, my thing normally is to try my strength, which is to start talking to them.
Yes. De-escalation tactics.
And no.
Okay.
So put it in a real scenario that actually happened outside of chances and before Mary's, where a guy pulled a knife on you.
Oh, whatever.
You can try to talk that one.
Look at her, she was like knife schmifes.
Well, the
like,
first thing was,
we like knives unless it's the muggers, and then we're not impressed.
wasn't much of a
First of
knife,
all, you shame them about their knife size.
That's too small, buddy.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but you know,
sir,
first thing
that's
was
not gonna
for some
work.
reason immediately my car was parked up by Reva. I immediately threw my purse toward my car
Okay.
because usually they're going to go chase it. It went under the car.
Oh, damn it.
That's sort of what he said as he's looking away. And I'm like, this isn't going to end the way you want it. Just so you know.
Crucial statement.
And the real question is, one of us is going to be bleeding on the concrete, and you don't know for sure who it is. I'm thinking it's not going to be me.
I'm going to steal that.
Yeah,
I'm stealing it.
This
That's what I'm
isn't
gonna
going to go the way you think it's going to go, because they always have a plan, but it's only one
And
plan.
we've already disrupted the plan. And I'm like, because what I think is going to happen is you're going to probably try to stab me with the knife. To begin with, you have to stab me like 11 times before it takes me down.
Like, are you in shape?
Yeah.
Make
I
them
mean,
doubt themselves.
it'll hurt, and I got all that. But in the meantime, you're going to be dead. Because once we start getting physical, I can't afford to do anything but kill you.
Right.
And so, I don't think it's going to go real well. And I have had people say, well, how are you going to do that?
However, I can.
And they look up when they say that, and I reach and grab their carotid artery in their neck.
Yep.
And by this time, they're in trouble. I have a really good grip.
Yeah.
I'm not letting go.
And I usually have long, pointy fingernails. And I'm like, basically, I'm going to poke these through your skin, grab your artery, and rip it out.
And I'm
like-
sitting with two people who test their grip strength like on a regular basis.
Yes. I've been meaning to buy a new one of the measuring things off Amazon because I lost my old ones.
Yeah. And it's funny because the minute they take a step back and their eyes get big, you're like, look, best thing for you is put the knife away and just walk away. Walk away a block. That'll give me plenty
Make
of
it like a long walk where you're huffing
that'll
and
be plenty
puffing.
of space. That way.
It's Houston.
It was just,
There's
an
a lot of
exciting
humidity.
night.
Yeah, there
And
you
in that
go.
particular case with the purse, I'm
Make
like,
it over
"Nah,
to the next bar.
now I gotta go crawl under my car to get my purse.
Yeah, I need to be safe to reach that.
Exactly.
What are you doing?
And I had a really similar situation in Washington one time. I was up there working for the government at that time. I'm not sure whose government it was, but
Question mark.
but the hotel I had was in Georgetown, and whatever they got, but sip of coffee time.
Yes, we have
And so
coffee mugs. Yeah,
it
we're
was
rocking the skull mugs today.
Yes.
it was like a nice hotel down the street. There was, I was wanting something to eat, didn't want to eat in the hotel. So wandered down the street to a pizza shop. Incidentally, this was a pizza shop that they claimed Hillary was running all sorts of things out of.
Okay, so some people might know that pizza shop.
They might. I
Okay.
didn't.
Yeah.
And, was there, started talking to people. We're sitting around talking, and it gets dark. It was daylight. The street was full of people and cars when I went. It's getting fairly late, and I think they're closing or something. And so I head back to my hotel, which is about 3 blocks away, uphill all the way. And there's nobody on the street. There isn't a car to be seen. And there's all sorts all sorts of storefronts on both sides of it. And these are the old storefronts that have sort of like the doors way in, so that it preserves heat in the winter, all that kind of stuff. And so as I'm walking along, I happen to smell some cigarette smoke. And I figure out it's coming from one of the storefronts. And so I stop and I'm like, okay, so you're smoking. I smell it. Bad move on your part. So I know where you are. So why don't you just come on out? And so this person comes out and I'm like, here's the question. What are we doing? Because...
And by we, I mean you.
You were there with, surprise, etc. was what you were going for. I was going to walk past. You were going to come up behind me and probably stick a knife, up against me and demand my money. Well, surprise is gone. So this isn't going to go well.
Right. This isn't going to go well.
I happen to have been wearing a trench coat. And this is
not a good fashion anymore.
And, well, maybe.
We're in Houston. There's no reason for trench coats.
Oh, no, that worked pretty well. And then my hands were in my pockets.
Okay. So
and I'm like, and so what you have to figure out is why this dumpy older guy, because I've had no hair for a very long time, isn't worried. That's what you really need to be thinking about right now. Because I'm standing here, we're having a discussion, and I'm thinking you're going to end up bleeding on the pavement.
Don't be dying today.
It'll be one of those mysteries, and I don't think people are going to investigate really hard to figure out what happened to you. Or you can walk back into your little hole back there, turn and face the wall. I'll walk past, go back to my hotel, and you can find somebody else that isn't aware. And took a step toward him, and he took a step back. I just won.
Gotcha.
And I took another step toward him, and he took another step back. I'm like, all the way, turn your back. Only reason I want you to turn your back is I don't want to have to walk backwards up this damn hill. Yeah. And so he turns around, and I go on back to my hotel.
Always mess with their minds.
If you can get to it, away you go.
And here's the thing. I always had this thought in my head too. A long time ago, I heard a story about things I can tell the whole story, but the premise of it is crazy doesn't know when it's won. Crazy also don't know when it's lost. So if you have that same mentality of, well, this thing is going to happen, and it's not going to go the way you think, because I'm not going to stop, and I'm going to escalate it to the point where there's no return. You kind of end up have the mindset and the face that usually matches that mindset.
And you watch them to make sure that you understand what they're thinking and all that, which is pretty easy usually. Yeah. And like I said, when their eyes get big, or if you take a step toward them and they back up,
you got them. That's it. It's over.
If nothing else, you can catch them half step if you had to. But usually you don't have to, because at that point they've given up because it's not going the way they wanted. And a lot of the people, I suspect their entire life is not going the way they wanted.
Right, exactly.
So they're sort of used to this.
Yeah. Right. I mean, and to quote, Mike Tyson, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
He's right. The muggers have a plan until shit doesn't go the way the script went in their head. And you throw them off. They take a step back. They start to doubt what they thought. And they're like, wait a minute, this person's not registering. They're supposed to be scared. They're supposed to be this. And you might still be scared, but you don't show it. And you're like, oh, but they're going to come forward. And they might be doing it scared. And then it's like, have you ever tried to back a wild animal into a corner? It doesn't go well. They might still die, but it's not going to go well for you either. Right. But is it worth that trouble? Is that juice worth the squeeze? Then they start going in their mind, and then that's when you go forward. And this whole process happens in less than what?
A second or two. I mean,
it's not that long.
It has to flow. You can't pause and think.
No pausing. It's continual.
It just has to flow, and you have to go. And the funny part is that I start having fun.
Yes.
I start
it's hilarious. It's fun. I go, now I gotta keep going with it. And
this has just turned into a game. Yeah. We're playing now, right?
How can I fuck with you more? Because you've now made my day. So it's to me a little bit of a different dynamic, because Alexis is, almost 6 foot?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're 5'10", 5'9"?
Yes.
And I'm 6'4" in heels.
6'4", okay. Yeah. Even in heels, I'm not even 5'5". So, and I don't wear them. So we'll say Doc Martens. I don't know. Yeah. 5'2". That's best. And so it's a little bit different of a game for me.
Right. Good point.
But the point that Alexis just made, if the person who should be afraid, older individual with nobody around and walking calmly, smaller individual with no one around and still walking calmly, and is now looking you dead in the face and laughing or telling you that this isn't going to go the way you think. Why? That should cross your mind. And if you didn't think it, I'm going to point it out. Like, you really should think about that.
Yeah.
And is this going to be worth your time, effort? No. So why don't you just do this? So I don't, again, have to walk up the back hill or whatever it happens to be. And off you go. It doesn't always go that smooth.
No.
But,
no.
Or it doesn't always not end up with them not challenging that. And then here you go.
And like you said, you can't practice every scenario, but sometimes when people practice, they don't practice the scenario that they most likely would be in. So like in Alexis's case, we had a self-defense teacher donate his time to come to the TG Center at one point. And it sounds great and it's good and everything, but then people show up in fitness clothes. Well,
no, you show up in your
regular
regular
clothes. Wearing your fitness
I mean,
clothes? And Alexis says, I would mainly be wearing heels.
And I'm showing up in 5-inch heels.
Then
people are like, oh. And I'm like, this is where I have to be able to defend myself. And by the way, 5-inch heels are basically significant weapons.
Yeah. Maybe I should learn walking them.
All I can tell you is that if you push me back and I'm laying on my back on the ground, do not get over my knees and legs.
There you go.
That heel will go right through you. But yeah.
He was demoing with her and he said, don't hurt the teacher. Don't hurt the teacher.
Okay, so here's
volunteers.
Yeah, here's what happened. We got this person who volunteered, and that was really nice. And,
great person.
And we were a little short of the number they wanted for a class. And so people were recruited.
Oh, didn't understand they recruited like...
I didn't get to go to this.
No, probably not. Probably not.
A long time ago. You remember.
It was actually over off of Pacific Street by Club Blur. But it happened randomly.
I mean, you were over at the TG Center, but I don't think you weren't in that class.
Oh, yeah.
And so there were, I think, 5 people who had never had anything with self-defense in their life.
Right.
And so then to fill in, they found me. I have never had a class, and you can go check all the records you can ever find, and you'll find I've never had any kind of class in self-defense.
Never be on.
And then the other person was a person named Monique, who rode motorcycles and, had transitioned and was a professional bodyguard.
Oh, okay. And so, that will be on record. Those classes will be.
Yeah.
She was cool.
And the new people after the first night were very not happy because the first night was all awareness. Surprise, surprise. That's the important part.
Situational awareness is the key.
and so, then, the next night it was like how to get away. Well, they didn't like that either. And it's like, run's just, best thing is awareness, don't get into it. Second best thing is run.
Run.
Yeah.
Run.
And so, they were totally disappointed. And so then it came to okay, they've got you. Now what do you do? And this is where the new people were having fun. And so the first thing that happened on one of them, I was picked as a demo person and, grabbed, and all of a sudden, something kicked in, and I'll show you this.
She reacts without thinking.
Basically, hand went to the side of the person's head, and I was like this, and that's when I get, don't hurt the instructor, don't hurt the instructor.
She has her hand pulled back, ready to hit the nose.
And it was about to say, oh, I'm just going to crush your throat.
It's going to actually come in on the side right here, straight down the middle. That little bump right there, and that's done.
Yeah, and then I'll sit back and maybe call the paramedic. Maybe trach
when you pass out. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you have the training.
Maybe not.
I can hurt you and save you. You should be grateful.
But then we were laughing because the next person that was picked was the person who was a professional bodyguard. Similar things happened for a different scenario. And so we started joking that basically this instructor's main thing they said the last 3 nights were, don't hurt the instructor, don't hurt the instructor.
Don't hurt me, don't do this. Like, what kind of people are you bringing?
And then he would explain to everyone, okay, there's one of the things you need to know, and that is when you're compromised. Mm-hmm. He said, what the only thing I could have done on any of those things where you heard me saying don't hurt the instructor is just drop my knees and let myself hit the floor and hope they don't come with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he said, because when you're compromised, you're compromised.
Know when to cover up. Know when to protect the vital spots.
It's like, and he said, but you have to remember, this is real. So there's no tap out on this stuff. So you have to just say, okay, this is not going to go well. How do I make it go the better? And so it was a totally different thing than they were thinking about.
Yeah. And then it would be the fun. Oh, it would be me. It'd be like the fun part would be is if being the self-defense instructor, it'd be like, I would encourage everyone to get put to the position where you're in that position.
Oh, he did.
Oh, he did. Oh, perfect. Okay,
yes,
great.
he did.
To know, like, all right,
and the approach he took was, he said, okay, so who would like to see the situation we're talking about? Mm-hmm. Okay. And he had us do it, great. But he was making sure that we didn't kill him.
Please don't kill me.
And so then he explained, like, in my case, it's like head tilted back, turned a little bit, and, ready to do a pretty strong hit with fingers tucked under so that it had plenty of room to get under the chin. Mm-hmm. To be really blunt. You don't want to accidentally graze off the chin if you're going for a throat.
Yeah.
And he said, what's going to happen? He said, do it slowly. And I did. And they're like, that just hurt being touched. He said, exactly. And if you've been hit, you're dead. Mm-hmm. Unless somebody revives you or does something. Mm-hmm. And he said, if you see that or know that, just do something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these things are very serious. I've had minimal EMS training, but the thing that stuck with me is, no, we actually just die. Like, there's not a lot. It's not a video game. Like, we don't just regenerate and come
real.
back. Like, back to what Amber said. Like, everyone should feel what it feels like to have a little pain, so they know. Like, this is real.
It should hurt a little.
Yeah, this is real.
And here you go.
When I'd been teaching scuba diving for a lot of years, and I was not a cave diver, and I could never understand why someone would want to stick their head in a hole with water in it. And, I could never understand. And so one of my instructors had been after me to do a demo class with him. Mm-hmm. He was our cave instructor. And finally, just to shut him up, I'm like, okay, go to Cozumel with us. We'll run over to the Yucatan. I will do it. But, if I don't like it, I don't like it. And you get to shut up about trying to get me to. And went in, got into the cave, and I sort of stopped, and he thought I was panicking. And so after we finally came up, he said, so what was going on there? I said, well, I was hovering there in mid-water because I'm like, oh, fuck, this is one of the neatest things I've ever done. It's going to cost me so much money and time.
Damn it. I like it.
And he said, oh, so you like it? I'm like, yes. And I was cussing myself underwater for liking it, etc. And so then it's like, okay, so for real cave, this was like the demo, I asked all the instructors I know, and I knew a lot of them because we were like one of the premier dive groups or dive companies. And I'm like, so if it wasn't you, who would you say was the best cave instructor? And everybody said the same person, said, but he's somewhat of an asshole, and he's not very nice, and he's really hard. And I'm like, sounds like my person. Exactly.
All right, let's go.
And so his name was Chris Lameo, and he was French, which made it even worse. But, went and saw Chris and said, okay, I want to take classes with you. And Chris is like, why? I'm not nice. And I'm like, that's why.
That's why.
And he's like, okay, we may get along. and Chris's big thing was you would do a practice dive to talk about different skills and to get the skills. And you come back out and Chris would say, well, you just killed your whole fucking team.
Perfect. Thank you for your honesty. How do I not do that?
No one lived.
Oh, no.
I think we're going to have to do better than that.
Okay.
So let's try this all again.
Keep going.
And I'm like, are you going to tell me what I did wrong? He says, no, you need to figure it out because it'll be a different thing next time.
Oh, my gosh.
And I'm like, wait.
Every time. Yeah, you can't, you don't know the scenario.
And eventually you found out that you just killed 2 of your team members as opposed to all of them. Or one of your team members. I mean, I felt good when I only killed one. I'm like, can I pick who I killed?
Yeah. Who do we not like today?
And so then pretty soon he's like, I don't think anyone died.
Nice.
And he basically was so picky, it was unbelievable. And I liked all of it. And after the first couple times when, he's like, well, I think that was close to okay. So we can probably go on to something else. And I'm like, no, close to okay is not what I'm going for.
Right. No.
I mean, this is the type thing that if it's not right,
it could
people
kill
die.
People. Yeah,
and it may be me.
Yeah.
And Chris is like, Yeah, we're getting along fine.
I like people who don't gloss over those details.
And I mean,
Yeah.
it's sort of like when you're doing physical therapy and you go upstairs and come downstairs, and you come downstairs perfectly fine, except maybe you don't do it exactly the way it was scripted, and somebody says, need to do it again.
She's talking about me. She was being checked out of the hospital, and she has
stairs.
She has stairs. And on one of the trials the first trial on one of the stairs, she
I was supposed to go up 3 stairs.
Didn't quite make the foot lift, and like that could trip you.
Yeah.
So I was like, she has to do it again. She has 3 sets of stairs, and she gave me the look of death.
I probably would have been too, and maybe giving you the middle finger as I went up and downstairs.
And you just like don't forget that look, like shut up.
And then I did it again.
Yeah.
Well, and Amber's a physical therapist assistant by trade, and I was just thinking when we were talking about these scenarios of do you stay, do you go, do you run? Alexis was going through knee replacement on both of her knees, and the physical therapy person said, well, we're going to have to get you back up to running. And she says, you assume I'm going to run.
That's a bold assumption of you. Joke's on you. No.
Yeah. Well, one of the podcast questions that I think we'll ask people, just sort of universal questions, is, and you've got a lot of training in this, is what do you think has gotten you through fear?
Fear?
Because we all have fear, we all have failure. You can look at it either way, and we've kept going. What has you keep going, if you can pinpoint a few things when
Amber's
you have failure?
Yeah.
Well, Amber's thinking, can I point something out?
Sure.
Amber's wearing a T-shirt that said "Surviving purely out of spite."
There you go.
Part of it.
Yeah, fear or failure. What keeps you going in fear or failure?
Fucking hard-headed and type A. There's one.
Hard-headed type A.
The other part is challenge is a good thing. Challenge and do it scared. Mm-hmm. I'm not afraid of challenge. I'm not afraid. I don't like failure. I don't like it. I like things to be done well and done perfectly, but I also understand that that's unrealistic and that you should, out of struggle comes growth, and that's important. You need to understand those things, so that helps push through fear. Mm-hmm. So sometimes fear is context dependent. Mm-hmm. So like things I can control. Well, I can control how well I do it. I can control how much I try. I can control so many factors. What can I control? Well, I can't control if I live or die. That's out of my control. So I try not to think about it too terribly much. I think about it, but I don't ruminate too much over it. Because I ultimately can only control that for so much.
Right.
But I also like to have a good time and frequently do say safety second. Because I get impulsive and I'm gonna jump off that thing. Why? I'm gonna go play with that alligator. What? There's no good reason other than it looked fun.
Amber and Alexis have one thing in common, that if we find them dead, the final line would be, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I shouldn't have done that.
It didn't work out the way I thought it would.
That didn't work. Would probably be the last phrase you'd either hear me say, or been like, I have a shirt at home. Like, life is not meant to arrive in a nice tidy package at the end with no scars or blemishes. Life is meant to arrive at the end skidding in sideways, crashing in, full of bumps and bruises and scrapes, with all these scars saying, woo, what a ride.
Yeah.
Like, it's not meant to...
Yeah.
You won't experience. And so if you're too scared to do the thing, then you should do it scared.
Okay.
Because odds are you're gonna come...
That sort of got to my question I was waiting to ask you.
Yeah, like, do it scared, do it tired, do it with joy. Like, it doesn't matter. It could be all of those things at one time.
That's true.
But like, fear-wise, just do it anyway.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to do it, do it.
So do you find fear to a certain degree energizes you?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do jiu-jitsu right now, and the scary part is going with people that are much bigger and better than you. And then we have one guy, he played football for A&M. He was a lineman, so he's 6'4", 6'5", and about 220, 225. And I have another one he played rugby, and he's about the same size. And I'm like, you, as I'm pointing, like, let's go. And I'm like, let's go.
How tall are you?
5'1" and a half on a good day. That's what shoes I'm wearing that day.
5'1" and a half, and then how much do you weigh?
As of this morning, 131.
So you're pointing up, going, I choose you.
I choose you. You're 100 pounds heavier than me, guy. That's also muscle. Jesus Christ. And so the point is that it's scary if somebody that big is coming after you. It's scary to think about and to feel when somebody is actually trying to control their weight and moving with you and letting you work, how ineffective some things may or may not be. And so if you're scared, do that in a control environment, because then when it comes down to the real environment, this is just a loose example, then you have a little bit more confidence because you know it does and doesn't work, what you are and are not going to have to do, and what the stakes are, and what that actually feels like. So that's in that context with physicality, as far as like jumping into unknown school or life choices. It's just like, well, is this juice worth the squeeze? Is it scary? Yeah, fucking do it anyway. Resilience is a thing that's joining my research.
Usually I find that just a little voice and I'm like, okay, this is scary as hell. And I'm like, we're going to do it, aren't we?
Yes. It's this whole, what Alexis just said. There's a whole dialogue in my head that is just like that. And it is one side of the brain saying one thing, the other side of the brain saying the other. Like, well, we could just sit here and it'd be nice and comfortable. Yeah, but that's boring. It's usually what the other side says.
One side says, yeah, the other side says, it's boring.
And then sometimes there's a third part that's like, all right, who's going to do it?
It's sort of like, yeah, we're doing it.
We're doing it. And it's like, fuck it. And
Alexis says, I'm scared. The other side says, oh, we're doing this. And then the third side just goes
the other
like,
side sort of says, so we're doing it.
So we're doing it, and white knuckling it through the entire process. And then some of them, sometimes you don't know what you're doing. Sometimes you go into this fear thing and you have a concept of what's going to happen and you're like, great, but there's these unknown factors that might get thrown at you. That's the fun, scary part. Cave diving is terrifying. You've told me about that before, and I'm like,
Well, and I should have added, I'm claustrophobic.
That's the natural response to that, because we're not supposed to be doing that as humans. Like,
but
it is a natural response.
As I said, and I'm claustrophobic.
And safety second. Because even with all the controls that you learned and killed less and less people as you trained, which is fantastic, there's still that X factor. There's always an X factor.
Well, I used to tell people that, when it comes to technical diving, and cave diving is technical diving, there's other technical diving, like going really, really deep and doing things that require specialized gases and all that. I sort of like technical diving because if you screw up, you die. It's just simple.
It's easy math.
There's no, gosh, you might be hurt. Nope. You screw up, you die.
Yeah.
And if you don't die, it wasn't a screw up.
Like this turned out great.
Well, and this is great because another question we'll ask, and we could just do it now, is what's the meaning of life? Like,
shit.
Yeah, I mean, that could be the answer.
For you, what's the meaning of life?
I could say the boring answer and be like, oh, happiness, finding happiness. No. I think the meaning of life is experiencing as much as possible. Learning and growing, enjoying yourself, having a good time, experiencing all the things, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. Don't limit. Go, do. I don't know what that food tastes like. I'm going to eat it. I didn't like it. I like it. I don't know what it feels like to be on a high wire. I'm not saying you should do this, but maybe I'll start 5 feet off the ground. But just to experience different
That's when you break your neck.
That's when yes. You have to full send. When it's scary, you full send. Like, if you think about it, that's when you get hurt. And it's the same thing if you're jumping from one spot to another. If I think about how far, that's 5 feet. I'm 5 feet tall. I should probably, how much
do you feel taller in your head, or are you like factoring in 5 feet?
No, I don't.
When you're doing these things,
I still feel 5 feet.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
No,
okay,
never do I feel any bigger than what I am.
Okay.
That's the meaning of life. For me, it's like learning things new. It's like the minute you stop getting curious about anything, I think you're in trouble. Like, it could be something small. Like, I'm all giving big examples, like walking on a high wire. It could be, I've never done that puzzle like that before.
Yeah,
or I've never seen that. And it could be an animal on an animal show, and you want to look it up because now we have the power of Google, and you can just start doom scrolling all about, meerkats or something like that.
Sure.
So being curious about your world and your environment and wanting to have experiences, how big or small that they are. It's not wanting to stop, I think. Wonderful. I don't know. I'm kind of curious by nature.
It doesn't have to have a final answer, but that's really awesome. Like, it could be an inquiry that you're in, and we're going to probably do something with that with each guest. So thank you. Not that there's a right answer, but in all this conversation, it reminds me of not just, when you might be caught off guard in person coming out from bars, but Alexis has a story where she was caught off guard at a university where somebody wanted to come in and try to pull one over on her from blackmailing her.
Oh yeah.
Oh. Tell this one when he came in.
Just in case people haven't figured it out, I'm a transgender person.
This is brand new information. You feel tricked.
Says the person who has helped me dress at 2 banquets. So I'm sitting in my office at a very conservative, religious named university. And someone walks in and lays out a whole envelope of, fairly large envelope. It has black and white photographs of me going to a rather kinky event. I think I might have been in latex.
Okay. Just for those that are curious about that specific part.
And they weren't very good pictures, but you could tell it was me, and I wouldn't have denied it because it was true.
How dare him not get a good picture?
Right.
Yeah, that's the wrong angle, sir.
If they'd been good pictures, I might have paid him for them.
Yay.
And he says, if you don't give me $25,000 right now, I'm going to tell people about these. And I'm like, for a second, I start sweating and I go into mild panic. And then this other part of my mind comes in and says, this isn't going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
this isn't going to go the way you think it's going to go.
This is wonderful because people stay at home and they worry, like, what happens if someone finds out about me for X, Y, and Z? What happens if someone, corners me for X, Y, and Z? What happens if, whatever? And so you guys have actual scenarios.
I was going to say.
So your brain says what in the moment?
Yeah, my brain says, this isn't going to happen.
Oh, this isn't going to happen.
And I said, so who are you going to tell?
Yeah, good question.
And he said, well, I'm going to tell your employer. I pick up the phone, call the president of the university. I said, somebody's sitting across from me that said that they're going to show you some pictures of me doing some kinky things if I don't give them $25,000.
I mean...
Check me. Yeah.
And so...
Didn't see that coming.
So...
I love how you're like, I'm going to make a phone call.
And then so he said, you need security. I'm like, give me a few minutes. Because we're now starting to have fun.
Yes.
And I'm like, who else?
Don't ruin it.
Who else are you going to call? So, well, I'm going to call your family. I pick up the phone, call my mom, and I'm like, hey, there's a guy sitting across the desk from me that says that, if I don't give him $25,000, he's going to send you some pictures of me doing some kinky stuff as a girl. Yeah, Mom, thanks. My mother says that if you call her, she's going to have you killed. And by the way, she can. Thanks, Mom. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Mom.
And at this point, he's not looking so good.
But go, Mom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so
I'm going to have him killed.
Thanks, Mom.
just tell him I'll have him killed.
And she can.
And so then, I said, so who else are you going to tell? He says, well, tell your neighbors. I'm like, okay, so you want me to call
All my neighbors.
the gay radio announcer on one side that I have gone out with? Or do you want me to call the fashion rep on the other side that gets me clothes and we party all the time together?
We're learning a lot about you, Alexis.
And he says, well, you better not try to stop me leaving. I'm like, wouldn't think of it.
Dream of it.
Nope, there's the door.
Here you are.
And the security to help
He
you
goes out the door. Just after he gets out the door, security shows up. Head of security, who, by the way, at SMU, that's the school that it was, at SMU, is a Texas Ranger.
Perfect.
Ooh.
Did he have his hat?
He says, so where is he? And I'm like, the black car right out there. Point to his car that's backing out. He didn't make it off campus.
Texas Rangers are special.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
And I was like, that actually felt pretty good. And nobody asked a question. There were no repercussions.
Nice.
Except for one person who said, I didn't know that you like those things. We need to go out.
Can I go out with you too?
It was a really good friend of mine before and after.
Yeah, leave it to Alexis to pick up a date at the end of the story.
It happens.
I think a big part of this, and you can tell me how you feel about it. It's my family has told me, they were like, from the time I was 3 and could have my own little personality develop and was moving around in the world into an adult. They're like, you have been yourself your entire life. You march to your own drum, and if people want to march to your drum, great. If they don't, great. You don't really give a shit. You're going to do what you're going to do, and you're, I guess, little comfortable with yourself.
Interesting.
Which translated all the way into my entire life. If you don't like it, okay, bye. So I don't know how much that translates into this bigger picture as when you get older, you're like, okay, great. Who are you going to tell? Hey, guess what? And then you call them and tell them yourself, which number one takes the power out of the argument for them. And then mind games.
Well, and my thing,
there.
That's true. If you don't put a lot of worry into what people think about you, you've already given your defense. You're already giving them that credit. Gone. Yeah.
And his problem was he didn't realize how I'm not going to put myself into that position and how much I like money.
Yes. Things that other other variables that he did not account
I mean,
for.
if he'd said
Yeah.
$1,000, this would have been harder.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
who knows, 25? No way.
No.
I mean,
Yeah. No.
Don't rob the people who like their money.
Right. Like,
but and the other thing was, it's like, okay, this is the
Yeah.
game we're playing now. Let's go.
And also go moms. Like Amber has a mom that I have always seen her go to your softball games and, go out to the club afterward, this lesbian club to dance. I mean, she was just always around having fun and she just always loved you. You know, like this is my kid and actually I like having fun with my kid,
she's so cute.
Yeah, she's amazing.
We were talking one day and she goes, it was the last time our current administration had gotten elected, and so things got a little dicey for me because I moved back to a small town.
Sure.
So people got a little emboldened to say what they thought, and so
You often live around mixed groups of people and you
Yeah.
have to go in and out of different type of belief circles and political circles.
yeah, and most of the time I don't care. I'm wandering
Sure.
in, wandering. I don't register it majority of the time, but it's a little bit harder when they actually come up and hit your grocery buggy with their grocery buggy and say whatever it is they think they can say because they feel emboldened by certain other people saying what they think they should. Anyway, problem was she's so she turned. We were in like a Mexican food restaurant. She's like, I've been practicing. Because she's caught people staring, which is, I don't register. I register it, like, because we clock the room.
Right.
Where's my exits?
Right.
What are people doing? What are people wearing? Clocking. Who's the biggest person in the room? Got it. And who
Sure.
do I need to be aware of?
Sure. And then you go back to your own job.
And then go back to it. And you're just constantly scanning and you're listening. And she goes, I've been thinking about it. If anybody says anything, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to be like, that's my bit. Like, and I'm like, oh, you're so adorable. Please don't do that.
Aw, she's pulling out her little
She
Piggy
did.
Flagger card,
Yeah,
flexing
I
a
mean-
little mama muscle.
Yes, and she didn't tell them she was going to kill them. But I have to think that maybe it
she
was coming.
would.
And she would. And she's
My
going to do
husband will be
something.
here any minute.
You just wait. And so
Yeah.
my dad.
Maybe not her, but she knows somebody.
Yeah. And my dad's come around.
Alexis's mom wasn't going to do it herself.
Oh, no,
but,
she would've-
but
she
she
would've
knows
called
somebody.
someone.
She knows somebody.
I'm going to call someone and just wait there.
Yeah.
And so my dad took
Moms and their phone calls, like, get it dialing.
Well, and see, I get it. Your mom was all involved. Mine wasn't.
No.
But the big thing about it is, I'm quite sure she saw this as you're going to call me
yeah.
and try to use it against
my baby.
my son.
Yeah, your baby.
The inconvenience of it all.
Yeah, exactly. She says, you're going to be dead.
Yeah.
You call me,
Yes.
you'll die.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't bother me with this shit. You're like, you're like, I'm going to kill you.
You think I have time for a phone call? You're dead.
Because she was like the totally typical Southern Belle type
Yeah, let's
person.
just handle this
okay.
right
On a
now.
pedestal. Wait,
Okay.
you're messing with my pedestal. No, you're dying.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think Amber's mom's like that. Like,
I don't say, but the key is,
If I had to guess,
you have
yeah.
to understand it and use it. Like,
yeah,
When
hey.
I called, it's like, okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like she said the right thing.
I do too.
Brilliant.
But you're right, like just different moms may say the same thing from different angles.
Well, and I just held the phone away a little bit and repeated it to him, and then went back and said, "Thanks, Mom."
Thanks,
Thanks,
Mom.
Mom. And she can.
And she will. Like, there's not a question mark here. Like, this is a certainty. And then
So your mom has been watching people clocking you in small towns with
Noticing
all the
it,
rhetoric
yeah.
going up, and she's been preparing herself to
what she's gonna say.
stick up for you and what's she gonna say.
Which is not what she would have said.
No. No. She would probably said something a little bit more colorful and have been like pointing a finger or something like that.
What
And then
was she gonna say? Did she tell you?
No.
No,
I think
she's just telling
saving
you
it.
she's thinking about it.
Yeah, and, she's like, and I'm gonna be like, da da da, and I'm like, okay, Mom. And I'm like,
Your
is
mom
my
is
dad
so
gonna be standing
protective.
behind you?
Maybe.
And you were sitting
Yeah.
there saying, protecting two people is a lot
Exactly.
harder than protecting one.
I'm like, oh, they're gonna make me mad because they're gonna do something to you, and then I'm gonna flip out and hit them with the chair, and I'm like, damn it.
Amber's like, I don't have to lift a
And it's
chair.
like we're going to jail. Maybe not
Yes.
stay, but we're going to jail.
We're gonna go to jail. It's a good thing I know some folks, and like maybe I'll pull a string or two. This will have to take a string or two. Yeah. This is a situation that's gonna escalate.
This is why you keep friends in all places.
Yes, we make friends with everyone
Because you never know what's going to happen.
Yes, and I had the same conversation with my dad, and I'm like, Dad, you need, because he tried to tell me just to be the duck and let it roll off my back or some stupid shit like that. And I'm like,
Oh, Dad, like
Dad.
you do that?
Exactly. This is exactly what the fuck I said. I was like, okay, let's play that game. We walk into Buc-ee's.
Dad, Dad, when have you modeled that for me?
Yeah,
ever?
exactly. When have you ever taken shit from anyone? Oh, never? Got it. Where do you think I learned it?
Also, I love your dad, but I just don't see him doing that
No,
at all.
not at all. And it's a very accurate call. 100% accurate. And I was like, Dad, when have you ever done that? Number one. But let's pretend. Let's walk into this Buc-ee's here.
Yeah, let's just roll this out.
I'm going to do something. I'm going to dress as gay as possible.
Right.
And
for those of you who don't know, Buc-ee's are probably in a conservative area, ran by a conservative. But they have big bathrooms, so a lot of people go there.
And they're great.
Very mixed crowds.
I was going to say, it's technically a gas station.
Theme park?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's more like a theme park.
Yes,
they have wonderful showers.
Oh my!
Didn't you go into your first Buc-ee's when you went and did your San Antonio talk at the Texas Non-Discrimination Summit?
No, no, before that, but it was San
It was
Antonio.
one on the way to San Antonio.
It's like an experience. It's really big for those that haven't been.
Yeah.
And I took my
Budget
mom.
an hour
and
or two.
Case in point, she said, why are they selling lawn flamingos here? Like, I mean, it's just like everything from...
Because they can.
Yeah, everything from... And you're like in a rural area mostly, so you're not really thinking flamingos, but okay. You know,
And most people think it's a truck stop, but they don't even let trucks in.
No, you can't be there if you're in the big truck. So don't even try. Sorry, truckers.
But they do have like a lot of clean solo stall bathrooms, so it's very helpful.
And they have more food that tempts you than any place I've ever
So
been.
much food, but also good food. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, there's also candies. There's all the bad stuff.
And apparently they pay their employees pretty well, which is nice. But, okay, so back to your dad and Buc-ee's.
And I was like, oh, okay. So he goes, I was like, we're going to walk in, and I'm going to provoke somebody to say something to me by just existing.
Okay, and Amber's dad is how tall?
6 foot.
Okay.
And usually has his cowboy hat on.
Yeah.
Boots, the whole.
Yeah.
He looks like a cowboy because he is. And you're gonna walk in behind me, pretend like we don't know each other. And the first time somebody says something or gives me a dirty look or any of those things, you have to keep walking and turn the other cheek and be the duck. Don't worry, I'll wait. And he goes, no, no. And I'm like, well, why not? We shouldn't care what other people think.
It's just a trial through Buc-ee's.
Yeah, and he's all like, you shouldn't care what other people think. And I was like, no, I don't care what other people think. You need to understand that this infringes now on safety. This now infringes on... You're in my space, and I don't know what you're going to do. It's not that. I don't care what people think.
It does.
Like, you can like me or don't. I don't give a shit. It's now we're talking safety, Dad.
Right.
And he's like, well, then that's why I should... I was like,
can't take him everywhere. Yeah, can't
you're
have dad
never
on your
with me
belt.
all the time, and if you're standing next to me, they're going to be less inclined. You need to understand that this happens to me when you're not around, and that there's been, because when I moved out, there would be 2 or 3 weeks, sometimes a month, that they wouldn't see me. It's because I had gotten into something at one of the bars and my face was all fucked up, and I didn't want them to see that. And I'm like, you should see the other person, It's like I'm not fighting with
your parents are
gays at the bar. I'm fighting with the people on my way to get to my car.
There you go. Your parents are aware of the fact that they have a gay kid in a non-accepting space, and that kid has to go out into the world. So they are aware of this, but they haven't been with you all the time when you go into that world.
No, or register, or they think it's just as simple as letting it go, and sometimes it is that simple, but it's not. And then when it happens repeatedly, I was like, that is the one thing that happens every now and again. Whatever, who cares? But if it happens continually, or it only happens at certain times when certain people get into office that say shit, and then other people feel emboldened to just say shit because they don't think that people are going to punch them in the mouth, or have something to say back. They got a little too comfortable behind that keyboard or behind those screens during COVID or whatever.
Well, it frequently does. Allow them to adjust their attitude and think a little more before they say something.
It does.
And your regular person, and I don't. Again, I know your dad less than I know your mom, but somebody like your dad, alpha male, has worked really hard to provide almost everything by himself for his family.
Yeah.
I don't know that he walks into a place worried for his safety.
No, but he's equally as paranoid as I am.
Is he registering
He does the same thing I do, which is kind of where I got it from.
Okay. Does your mom walk into places worrying for her safety?
No.
No, I'm just,
Yes, but no.
Because she's on the smaller side, and she's female, and
I think
so
she's so used to having my dad. So a little history with them, but they've been together since my mom was like 15, and my dad's always been big. He was 6 foot and 200 pounds by the time he was in junior high. Like he's always been a big guy.
She's always had a big guy next to her.
She's always had a big guy around her, and so having I will say the word privilege and the support of knowing that.
It's a privilege that she's worked for.
And he was a relatively...
that wasn't always easy.
Yeah. He wasn't exactly the nicest person according to my mom to people.
Sure.
Because he just didn't have to be, and he didn't tolerate things. And people would say things, and he wouldn't tolerate it.
He wasn't doing the duck practice?
No, he was definitely not a duck. He was probably the alligator. And so, and just snapping at everything. And so he was like, well, I was like, no, you need to not tell me to turn the other cheek. I was like, I need you to understand how invalidating and dismissive that is. And you need to just understand that it's different. I understand what you're trying to tell me, because if I let it go, it's less chance for me to get hurt and engaging with somebody.
Right.
I understand. I appreciate that as your dad. And I was like, but you need to understand that if you're not going to practice what you preach, then don't talk to me like that.
And sometimes you identify as a gender ninja. So for those of us, we're obviously not like a video situation here.
What is a gender ninja?
I made it up one day.
She's quite androgynous, but
Really?
Well, it used to be more so, but yeah.
Androgynous? Wow, what a thought.
So you're walking into a Buc-ee's.
Shocking, I know.
What is your experience? You're walking into a Buc-ee's. What's life like for Amber?
I picked on Buc-ee's. It's usually HEB in town. It's just been either confusion, especially if I'm wearing more baggy clothing or a hat or anything like that.
I just like Buc-ee's because there's it's huge. There's travelers and it's a very mixed situation.
It's a mixed situation,
but it's still relatively
no
conservative from the start.
Yeah,
because it's in a rural area usually.
More so before when I was bodybuilding more, and so my shape was a little bit different, and I had the shorter hair, and then if I had a hat or a hoodie on, you really couldn't. It was harder to tell. So
to tell what?
If I was male or female to the outside. Sitting in this room, it's not hard. I mean, we all can tell. And it's like, you're like, really? And I'm like, yes, I know. I know. And so it would be different because people would, one, react with confusion. And if people can't put things into categories, they get either whatever, they let it go because like, well, I guess I don't know. Or they get upset because if they can't categorize it, it's a threat.
Right.
I don't think that they have that conscious of a thought process, but that is what's happening.
Right, we're all still animals. Yeah. This is before they're thinking.
And so they either, at that point, when we get afraid, we have our fight, flight, or freeze, and some of them might get mouthy. And so none of the fawn features show up in that aspect. They will either feel emboldened to come tell you, or it's that southern polite, I'm going to pray for you. And you're like, oh, that's great. Thanks. Bye. Like, I don't know what you're going to say.
So you're on your way to the bathroom, you look androgynous,
and someone's going to pray for you. One time with their walker, that was great.
Okay.
So I was at 24-hour fitness. I was
so a locker room experience for Amber, an old lady hit you.
Yeah. So I have my headphones in right at this point, and I'm wearing like a cutoff t-shirt and longer shorts, and I have my headphones in, and I'm just now getting done washing my hands from peeing. I'm minding my own damn business.
So you're in the female locker room, and you're serving like softball dyke realness.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes. That's accurate. Okay. And so I go to do something, and I'm looking down. I'm not even looking around the locker room because, in my experience, as a gay person in a female locker room, you should probably keep your eyes forward because people get all bajiggity about shit.
Right. Anyway. And you and Abby Wambach have a similar experience from an Olympian level to where you're at that day. Like you get conditioned to like not boob check each other.
Right.
Yeah.
And so. It's weird. I'll go about this story another time, but it's weird sometimes when now, like, I'll be talking with friends that are heterosexual at the gym at school, and they're just talking away, and I'm like, "This is different."
Yeah,
and I'm like, "You're talking to me."
Yeah,
yeah. I was like, "Yeah." And so I'm in there, and I'm standing there, and next thing I know, I feel this, those 4-wheeled rolling walkers with the handles, the brakes.
Yeah, they got the brakes.
It was one of those, and this lady,
chair
I'm
hang
5,
out.
yeah, and I'm 5'1". She barely came up to my nose, so it's this little tiny lady. And I feel this bam, like right into the side of my leg. And I'm like, ouch. And I turn and look, and I'm like, thinking maybe she fell.
Right.
My physical therapy brain is coming into mind, like, oh, I'm going to have to pick her up.
Yeah.
Like, did you break your hip? Like, what just happened?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we're in a bathroom, you slipped and fell. Right. And so I turn around, and she's just making this angry face at me. And I'm like, can I help? What? And she's like, what?
Right.
And I pop my earplugs out, and she goes, you're in the wrong bathroom. And I'm like, what? And she goes, this is the girls' bathroom, locker room, whatever the fuck she said. And then, like, shaking her finger at me. I'm like, hold your walker, you're going to fall. And so, like, I was like, I know, I'm in the right one. And she's like, no, this is the women's. And I just kind of grabbed what little bit of chest I had. It's even smaller than now. I just grabbed it and kind of shook it at her. And I kind of pulled my shirt to the side and showed my sports bra.
My sports bra,
And she's like, she's like, I'm going to tell management. Because I think she thought I was still lying. And I'm like, hold that thought. I'll go get them. I can walk faster. So I walk my happy ass out to the manager of the 24-hour fitness, and I'm like, there's a problem. And
that
since
you did not cause.
I didn't cause it. I know the law.
You were caring for her instead of disturbing her.
Yeah,
and you were going to go get the manager for her.
I was like,
just in case people are not tracking what people do in the locker room like us. We're like making friends, hoping things just go well, minding our own goddamn business.
My own damn business, trying to
for a
get my lift
workout
on.
membership that we paid for in a place that's inclusive, right? In this scenario.
Yeah.
So what did the manager say?
I was like, there's going to be a problem. This lady's going to come in here and tell you this. Number one, she calls the disturbance in the bathroom, not me, which is the law right now. So she thought I was in the wrong bathroom. And they kind of just looked at me because they registered.
They're used to seeing you.
Fine.
Yeah, they know who
I've been
you
in there
are.
for a year plus at that point.
Yeah.
And here she comes toddling out. And I'm like, go ahead and tell him. I already filled him in a little bit.
Generational difference, yeah.
Oh, for sure. And I'm like, I was like, I'm going to let you handle this. I'm going to go upstairs. Come to me if you need me.
Right.
And I just left and nothing happened to me. Anyway, I don't know what happened to her. She's like, I'm going to take my money elsewhere. All right, chunk dude.
Just a regular day for you.
Regular day.
And then she wants you kicked out while she keeps her membership.
That happened a few times. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it was, well, I told you about that at the time, Delby, but
sure.
That was a different scenario altogether.
Well, and you're how old now?
Oh, I'm about to be 44.
Well, it's just
that is so old.
I know.
The generational difference. The generational difference, though, is like I'm 42 now, and I grew up knowing that hate crimes, not towards necessarily women or kids, like they're doing the rhetoric now, but like gays and lesbians used to get beat up in the bathroom. We don't
know shit.
No, but I'm just saying, like, I'm just saying, we're going in locker rooms and bathrooms, not just with social conditioning to stay in our lane and not cause commotion, but we're knowing the law, but we're also knowing that that's where it could also not work great for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh.
Which is very counter rhetoric right now. Like, if we were just doing a panel on people talking about trans in the bathroom, even some trans people would be concerned about trans in the bathroom because of the rhetoric right now.
Yeah, but we should perhaps do that because it'll be fun.
Yeah. Take it back, I guess. Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe somebody showed up in a bathroom when someone else was helping under a formal gown, and that person is a judge.
Yeah. Oh, hey. How's it going? Don't mind me. I gotta retire. Hold on.
So we've done the Unity Banquet in Houston for years, and Amber being a physical therapy assistant and Alexis having surgeries along the way, I made sure that Amber was volunteering helping Alexis get dressed, get around the banquet and things like this. And one of the places when you get formal dressing and support has to be in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Well, we were doing the mic.
She's getting mic'd up for her speech, and then at our banquets you have different politicians coming and going, and so you basically had meetings in the bathroom too.
And basically a certain well-known judge was there with their significant other, and they were doing clothing adjusted also.
Yeah. So
and they looked, they're like,
doing what formal wear requires in the bathroom.
Exactly.
And I'm all like, what? Reaching up in your gown. Like,
exactly.
I don't care.
Yeah. I personally, I have all the same interactions in the female restroom, especially after the rhetoric. I used to go to the male's restroom because there was a shorter line.
Yeah.
And then after all of the things happened on the news when we didn't get the Houston Equal Rights Ordinance in Houston, and it started going more national, I thought, well, I have better odds in the female restroom.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a polite thing to say, but for me, I do. And so I stopped going into the male's restroom, short or not short of a line, and passing or not passing or whatever, so for me, I don't even go in the unisex restroom because that's a bit of a targeted, like,
I do, and I'm like, thank you. And I just walk out of the room.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm sort of interesting because I've been in male restrooms twice since I was maybe 14.
Okay.
I've always used female. And a couple times I've had challenges, and usually I take the approach of, and your point is? And usually they back down because they're like, wait a minute, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I always figure if I get confusion from the other person, I just won.
Back to confusion.
You get the head tilt.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. It's we're doing this. You're now confused.
Yeah.
Guess what?
While you're thinking, I'm going to leave.
Exactly.
Email me with questions or don't. Like,
Yeah.
That would be number 2 on self-defense. Awareness number 1. Number 2, run.
There you go.
leave,
There
leave,
you go.
Go.
And you brought up that you're doing jujitsu. So how's that going? What has you be continuously interested in that?
Oh, number 1, it's fun.
Yeah.
You get to get into a fight and not get in trouble. In a controlled environment, but it's still uncomfortable as fuck. Like when the people that are smaller than you and you're like, I got it, and you don't. And you're like, oh no.
Oh, you thought you had
I
it.
thought, now I'm being deprived of blood in my brain. Okay, got it. You know what? Like, but it's a continual challenge. Like, versus like, I used to do Muay Thai I did that for like 2.5 years. Got pretty good with that. And that's just repetition. Once you learn how to throw the kicks or the punches or the elbows or the knees, then it's just repetition on how fast you can get it, how powerful. Some of the techniques are a little bit different, but it kind of stays the same. Your partner might change, but it stays the same. With jiu-jitsu, your partner's changing, their body types are changing, and you're changing, and how each person moves and thinks is a little different. So it's like a constant chess game. You have to think 2 or 3
But it's also really complex.
to 5
Yeah.
moves ahead. And for me, it really helped for stress relief and PTSD type symptomology. You don't have time to think about, bringing it back to earlier, when you don't
Other stuff.
you can't think about other things because somebody's trying to choke you, or break your arm.
Yeah.
Like you can't think about that, and you're like, oh, I gotta survive right now. Like I can't think about what paper I have due or what is making me sad
It's
at that moment in
complex
time or angry.
enough for you to zone out and get your attention. And
In the moment, you're being mindful and present, because I am not the person that can sit and meditate. It drives me up a wall.
Right.
I can't. I'm like, well, now what do I do? Oh, don't think about that tickling you here. Or
a lot of people talk about meditation as something that has to be still, but a lot of people can't do that.
I can't sit still.
You know, and I have a friend who is a neuroscientist. Don Vaughn is his name, and he's an amazing dude. He likes to do a lot of different things, but Harley Davidson, when they were coming out with their new brand of motorcycles, hired him to do research on why do people like their brand. They wanted to know their demographic newly, like, who are they? Why do they like us?
They paid for someone like that? No.
Absolutely. And
Isn't it obvious?
yeah,
well, between Harley Davidson and the motorbike games where they do the off-roading bikes, the mountain bikes and the jumps and the different acrobatics in the air with the dirt bikes. Those group of people, what he found is a lot of them are type A personalities that can't slow their brain down unless they're on the bike. When they're on the bike, they have to manage all the environment instead of managing the thoughts in their head, similarly to what you're saying. So some people pick a motorcycle and you pick grappling.
I mean, I would do a motorcycle if I could afford it.
There are a bunch of leisure activities, I'll put it that way, that do exactly that.
Yeah.
People who just like to fly for the fun of it.
Right.
The big thing about it is you understand that if you lose concentration, you die.
Okay, so it demands that much concentration. Flying.
Same thing with a lot of scuba diving. That was one of the neat things about scuba diving. The world goes away and it has to. And, you have to be in the moment where you are. Otherwise, bad things happen.
That's it. It allows the checkout. In a good way. You're not checked out like I'm thinking nothing. You're checked out and able to be in the moment.
Well, but it's
That makes
something,
sense.
you're concentrating on something that is not your real life problems, if you will.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, that.
Yeah. And I don't know if you know this, Amber, but Alexis used to land planes that were already broken.
I did not.
Well, basically, I'm cheap. Did I mention money? I mentioned that a couple times.
She loves the money, but she likes to keep
I
it.
like to fly, and renting a plane is very expensive, believe me, especially when you don't like the little tiny slow planes. You'd rather have big fast planes, and they're really expensive.
What's the biggest, fastest plane you've ever flown?
The biggest, fastest plane I've ever flown?
Yeah.
A DC-8.
Okay.
I don't know what that means.
Stretch 8, it's a huge airline type plane.
Okay. I'm like, I don't know what it means. But yes.
But the ones I like are Saberliners. They're luxurious, they're fast, they are very responsive, and they're fun.
How come we didn't know Alexis when they were doing that? I had flown on
No,
a
I don't
luxurious
wanna
broken
be-
plane just to play.
No, I don't want to be in a plane that's broken.
What I did was, this was when I was in Dallas.
You
and
too?
the Beechcraft dealer at Addison Airport is where I flew out of. And one of the things, to get flying time, I would ferry planes back to the factory for them. Now, they don't send planes back to the factory because they're working well. I didn't figure that out the first one of those I did, but it went all okay. But then after that...
It's better to not know.
After that, I figured it out. It's like, wait a minute. If it's going back to the factory, it means it's bad enough they can't fix it. And they're looking for someone who's stupid enough to fly the plane back.
Or someone who listens, because they had a guy that was talking you through the landing.
Well, that was up in Wichita at the Beechcraft factory.
Okay.
I mean, it's always cool when you take off and it, nice plane, sort of to the extent of what you're comfortable flying, shall we say, because it's a big plane, very fast, the whole bit. And you lift off and the tower says, could you make a low pass for us? Just leave your gear down. It's like, sure. But then you think, why are they wanting this? And so you come back and do a low pass down the runway and they say, look to your left. See that wheel rolling down the runway? That's your nose wheel.
Ah, shit.
Okay. And we're in a time with a lot of planes coming down from the sky, so this is a timely topic, but...
Yeah. And so the next thing, I'm sitting there saying, okay, so what do they want me to do? And they're like, so what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And, I'm like, well... guess I'll go on to Wichita. I'll just stay really high. And, if you would route me over Sherman, because Sherman has this huge Air Force base they use as an airport. I mean, the airport runs half the way from Sherman or from the state line to Dallas. You can land anywhere in about a 3-mile area. And, I'll just go on to Wichita because that's where it's going to end up.
Is that where you landed in bubbles or soap or something?
No, this was in Wichita.
Okay.
And so, I went on to Wichita. I called them as soon as I could get it there. And they'd already been notified by Addison Tower that
this is going to be a problem.
They had a plane coming in. And I'm like, and they're like, so have you ever done, a dead stick landing, which says you turn your engine off?
Okay. Which stops the fuel from flowing.
It stops lots of things. Keeps the and you have to bump the propellers around so that you don't ruin the propellers. They're 3-bladed propellers. If you turn them just right, then you won't hurt them.
Got it.
If you land, and they said, have you ever landed on a grass strip? And I'm like, I have. And they said, probably not like this because we're going to do a gear up landing. And I'm like, I have no clue how to do that. They said, don't worry, we'll talk you through it. And I'm like, that's easy for you to say. You're on the ground. And so they talked me through it and up really high and spiral down. And, when they say, okay, so now we're going to do the spiral down to landing, at which point my heart said, how fast can I go and not knock you out?
Right. And not pass out. Yeah.
I also like the inner dialogue of what is someone actually thinking in this moment. Yeah.
You are thinking of listening to exactly what they say.
Right. And asking questions if you don't understand every bit.
Not thinking, yes.
And so he said, okay, so we're going to foam. The grass strip is just to the right of the runway. That's where you're going to land. And said, just hold everything steady. Are you instrument rated? Yes, I'm instrument rated. Okay, good. As you're starting to come down the runway, the first little bit, make sure that you're set up for your instrument landing, because when we foam it, when you hit the foam at the other end, you won't be able to see anything, so you have to go on instruments. And said,
blind landing.
you might be pretty much on the ground, but the minute you hit the foam, you'll be back flying.
Oh, okay. All right.
And, because you're really floating. And the key is just write it out, keep it straight. Don't worry about whether you're on the runway or not because you can't see anything.
Trust.
But just stay on instrument runway. And when it settles down, don't do anything until the fire department, tells you it's time to get out of the plane because they're going to hose everything down first.
Okay.
And make sure there's no real problems. And he says, there won't be because we're doing this right. And so then he says, so in emergencies, do you get nervous? And I said, oddly enough, I only get nervous like an hour later.
Yeah,
it hits
later. I have the same response.
Yeah.
I'll be calm.
And he says, then we're fine. And, this is their head test pilot
and
for
it's great
Beechcraft.
that you know this about yourselves.
Knowing things about yourself, putting yourself in situations that you figure this out.
Yes.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You're like, why am I shaking now? It's over.
This is
And
way
then I'm
later,
like,
and then you start
wait a
thinking
minute,
about consequences.
I wasn't shaking then. And so, I land, it's perfectly fine.
man.
It goes just the way it's supposed to. My best landings have been when the plane's broken or something's wrong. I mean, I'm sloppy otherwise, but I'm really concentrating then.
Yeah.
And so, we go have some lunch, and he says, so you want to see how you damage the plane? And I'm like, sure. We go back, and there's a little patch of grass on the belly of the plane that's about 4 to 6 inches long. And he said, that's your damage. It takes like 2 seconds of buffing.
Buff it out.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And he said, by the way, the axle was broken on the wheel. That's why it was a problem.
Wow.
So we have to replace the whole wheel thing. He said, I don't think we'll have it replaced in time for you to fly this one back. But we've got a King Air, which is a much bigger plane, that we need to send back. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, so I would guess that you should take a little nap or something. And I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
And he said, have you ever flown a King Air? And I'm like, nope. He said, okay, well, I'll go with you. We'll do a whip around the field to check you out, and then you'll be type certified in a King Air. And we did.
Nice.
And it only took half the time to get back. It's a big plane.
There you go.
It holds like 20 people and goes
Okay.
really fast.
Nice.
And it's
What is really fast in that plane? Like, what is
in
that?
that particular plane, on the way back, I was going about 350 miles an hour. And from Wichita to Dallas, 350 miles an hour, you get there quick.
Oh,
Like, what, an hour? If that?
Yeah.
Okay.
A little over.
I don't...
sky time.
There's the math face. My head's tilted and I'm looking up.
Yeah. It's sort of around an hour.
Toss me the answer.
And you call in.
It's like you're looking for a softball. Like,
And the tower says, yeah, Wichita told us you were coming in a different plane. And I'm like, wow, you all talk a lot. How do you want to do it? I'm like, I'd love a straight in because I'm not that used to this plane. And, turns aren't my strong suit. And they're like, so far it looks good. And I'm like, yeah, because you can't see me yet. And they're like, well, yeah, there's that. And so I'm just talking to the tower. And he said, okay, you're on final now. And I'm like, I know. And he said, so you land. And we're just chatting all the way through landing. And he said, so you going to Texan? That was the Beechcraft deal. I'm like, yeah. He said, so get off whenever you're able and head over there. And right now you're the biggest thing we have on the ground. So have fun.
You have the right way.
And they're like, oh, we didn't know you were bringing that one back. So-and-so will be really happy because they've been wanting it back quick. And it was a plane that they'd refurbed the entire interior of. It was really nice.
I mean, darn it. Let's go find one. I want to see. I don't believe you prove it. No, okay.
But I have a friend that I used to fly with all the time, and he loves slow plane. He liked just flying. It's the act of being in the air that he liked.
Okay.
I saw it as some way to get someplace fast.
Yeah.
And so, I'd fly with him. I'd fly right seat because he can do his thing. But anytime we would come around a controlled airport, he'd be like, okay, do you want to take it? Do you want to take it? Because that wasn't his thing. It was like, like the little, nothing else.
Doesn't want to land.
And if there was a problem, he'd be like, I'm like, you want me to take it? And says, yes.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
That's good.
And I'm like,
good.
that's because I can't fly if it's all okay.
Right.
But yeah,
Things are going too well.
But,
This is wrong.
it's the same thing. The nice thing is that from the time you start to taxi out, you better have your mind on the flight or you're going to be in trouble.
Same.
And that was really nice. And there's so many things like that. In fact, I think an awful lot of sports are like that.
Yep.
I mean, even like team sports, it's like you need to have your mind on the game, and that takes your mind off of everything else, and it's very relaxing.
Well, it's kind of like some of your tennis stories when people realize how hard that hit is actually, or how
flying
fast that
100 plus miles an hour.
Yeah, how fast that ball is actually flying. You
Yeah,
don't
it's
see
sorta
it that way as the player, but you don't even acknowledge it as somebody who's not playing. But it keeps you really integrated into the moment.
And the nice thing about it is that if you're playing nice, just sort of fun tennis, and somebody starts trying to not play nice,
Then you turn it up.
it's always nice to be able to say, oh, let's just worry them a little bit. And it's like, yeah, I've been hitting you like 80-mile-an-hour serves, which is a good serve. Let's go for 150.
And when you can hear the ball.
And when you,
Going through the air, you're like, oh, damn it.
and you hear it hit, and then the curtain behind you hear, go!
Yeah.
And usually they look and they're like, what was that? And I'm like, that's my regular serve. So are we going to play hard or fun? You tell me, it's all up to you. I don't care.
Yeah.
And you've played with some famous people that are well skilled because you can hit that hard.
Yeah.
Who are some of the people?
I mean, if you're
going to name
when I was
drop.
in Dallas, I hit practice with Martina Navratilova. And that was fun. And
That's
then
a lesbian.
What? All these shocking statements. What?
Twice a year, used to go up to Nukes, which is a tennis camp in the Hill Country.
I was like, nukes? Where? Now we're talking.
And Nukes basically train professional tennis players.
Oh, okay.
And they
Okay.
basically had 1 week a month when you had to be pro or someone they considered a high A level tennis player to be allowed to come. And I used to be able to go to those all the time, and they were fun.
Nice.
Because like there was one morning that I was just up, and there was somebody on the court sort of hitting serves, and I was wandering around and says, you want to volley something? I'm like, sure. So I'm hitting volleys back and forth, and she's really good. This bit of, oh, it's a girl. No. She's really good. But, it was enough where we kept it fun and everything. And
Nice.
I honestly didn't know her name. I don't remember it right now. But she said, okay, I got to go. I got to get ready. I'm traveling. And so she takes off.
Yeah.
And so that afternoon late, maybe the next morning, but within a very short period of time, we're watching TV for lunch, and she's playing Chris Everett and beating her.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Okay.
And
You're
I'm
like,
like,
she looks familiar. I help her warm up.
That's the person I was warming up this morning. Said, yeah.
All right, then.
That's awesome.
That is actually really cool.
And then I used to laugh because one of the things that happened at Nukes is, after a day or two, they would take everybody and, basically you got to hit serves with one of the instructors.
Okay.
And the deal was that if you get past them, you get an ace, then the instructors buy all of the students a beer.
Nice.
And if you didn't get an ace, you bought that instructor a beer.
Okay.
Which
You
was,
remember how she likes money. Just kidding.
Yes.
and,
motivating.
and they were very Australian, so Foster's it was, and big ones.
The oil cans that they
Yeah.
used to have, the green and
Pretty
blue
much, yeah.
oil cans. Yeah.
And so it was always funny because if they had a new instructor, they would some way or other randomly match me up with them because I hit a serve that nobody teaches
Oh, okay.
except for McEnroe.
Okay.
And that's who showed me how to hit that serve because it's the one McEnroe always used that would kill people.
Yeah.
And so I'd hit 2 or 3 normal serves, and I'd hit some really hard ones that are good serves. And every now and then I actually get one past them, but usually not because that's what they're used to.
Yeah.
And you would see that all of the other instructors were lined up and had these big grins on their face.
They're like ready to drink. Yeah.
And
like-
then I hit something called an American twist, and it breaks to the left, and anybody in their right mind, after seeing some of my previous serves, would take a step, breaks to the right, and they would take a step to the right,
Okay.
and the ball goes to their left.
Okay.
Once it hits, it cuts so hard, it's unbelievable. And usually what happens with the pros is they take the step to the right, then they see the spin, and they just give up. They're like, yep,
Okay.
got me. There is no point. I cannot get to that. And all of the other pros would start laughing, and they'd get the whole bit of, I was set up. Yeah.
Thanks.
They told me to get my money ready for you served. Nobody hits that serve. And I'm like, I know, I'm a nobody.
Yeah, nobody hits the serve. Yes. I think that having that ace, that no pun intended with that one, is pretty fun. And then getting one over on people, and surprising.
Well, with tennis, one of the things people don't realize is it's a very cerebral sport.
Yep.
You can do with just power, and like a lot of the male pro players have so much power, they don't have to think about what they're doing.
Okay.
But now when they're hitting with someone else who's as strong as them, if you watch, there's a lot of strategy going into it because they're having to actually work.
Yeah. Like, I got to actually think about where the ball's going to spin, land, bounce, go, whatever.
And and it's like, okay, I've hit it to their forehand 3 times. I'm going to hit it to their backhand. And then you think, well, that's what they're expecting because that's what I always do. So I'm going to hit their forehand again. But maybe they're expecting...
Yeah.
And by the way, you have the time it takes the ball to travel across the net.
Which is nothing.
To do that.
Yeah. I wonder how this would translate into pickleball. I don't know how to play pickleball.
It's slower.
I don't know. It's popular
Could
right
you
now.
do an American twist in pickleball?
I don't think you can, but I may be wrong because the thing that made an American twist work is because
Distance.
you did all the action after the ball on your serve was in the racket and had deformed the strings a little bit, and then you would move in that, and it was an interesting motion because it was pure timing. And pickleball, they don't deform.
Right.
Well, maybe they don't.
No, if you hit them hard enough. It's a harder wiffle ball, but from what I can tell. I haven't had a chance to really play it yet. I watch them all doing it.
Yeah,
I
I've
have a
watched
set
it too.
at home to do it. I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
So what is something that you're looking forward to doing next, whether it's sports or your career or life in general? Do you have anything on the horizons that brings you excitement, joy, or is pulling you to like keep going?
And my mind added to your list, but we'd have to edit it out. I was going to say, specific people. I don't care.
Yeah, people.
Yeah.
What's my wish list of people?
Could be celebrities. Could be
my celebrity wish list. Oh, yeah, there's that too.
Grappling with so
Which context are you talking about here?
Any context. Any context.
I was going to say, and that wasn't sexual on my part, just so you know.
Okay.
It was on
but
mine.
it could be.
That's where my mind went. Exactly where it went.
But it could be.
Yes, it could.
As far as like just stuff, I signed up for the Master Worlds competition for Jiu-Jitsu in September in Las Vegas. So I'm training for that right now and trying to make sure I'm on weight with muscle, not injured, which is non-existent. It's always something's wrong. My knees. You remember that taping class we did? I have tape on my knee right now. That's for that. For school-wise, I am just trying to get through quantitative inferential statistics right now, and that's a goal. I start external.
I'm going to go to Las Vegas and either be beat up or beat somebody up. And I have tape on my knee because it may not work really well.
Right.
And now let's talk about quantitative statistics, etc.
Yeah, and then be about to start the second edition of that quantitative statistics when I get back from Vegas from beating someone up. So there's
Just
motivation.
thought I'd point that out.
Yeah.
Your poor mind just saying, so are we going to be nerdy here? Are we?
Yeah, we're going to be a nerd or a bigger nerd. So which type of nerd?
So when's Vegas?
September. It's the last week of August.
Okay, so you're living into it.
Yeah.
And Amber and I went to a rock taping class, and the lady said, go slow about how many tape spots you tape up because it could really stimulate you in a weird way, or
look like mummies.
you could get overwhelmed. And we're like, let's go! And we were like,
look like mummies.
super taped up.
I was about to say, wait.
Yeah. We had
And
tape
then
everywhere.
probably like 5 seconds later, we're like, whoa, take it off!
This is too much.
She wasn't kidding. Yeah.
Okay. No. Okay. Did you get a picture? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Take it off.
Yeah.
So they have. That's that. And as far as people go, I have a celebrity list, but I don't know. It migrates right now.
Well, where's it at right now?
Let's see. There's this I call her Hot Jamie. She's on Instagram.
Hot Jamie.
Hey, Hot Jamie. We're
Ellen does
linking
not
at
get
you.
it. She's like, she looks nothing
And,
like me. I was
and
like,
how
"What?"
can I phrase it? Jamie's a really androgynous name.
It is, but they are not.
I'm not suggesting.
Yeah, no, they're not. They're powerlifting Instagram personality, and
Okay, could be a future buddy.
I'm like, it's like one of those people that you don't know.
So you have no idea what they look like below the breast level?
Nope. Well, yes, I do. Actually,
they
they had
stand
an
up.
OnlyFans for a short period of time, so yes, I
Okay.
do. And I paid that much for a short period of time.
Big fan.
And they're tattooed, muscled. Had the shaved side of the head and tattooed. Just
Yeah,
Really?
I had a question a while back on that one, but
yeah,
Right.
And
Alexis
so-
was wondering if you are a lesbian and you're going to shave only one side of your head.
Well,
which
okay,
side
wait.
As lesbians
I was having a depression.
Which side do you
But
shave?
wait. I was having a depression moment. I'm like, I guess I could shave half my head. And I'm like, but
could.
which side?
Okay.
And I was going to call you an ass.
Yeah, you should.
Is this like the hanky code? Like
Yes.
if you do the right side or the
Oh,
left
yeah, no,
side,
I don't think that there's
you
like-
might be making too much of a promise.
A hanky code promise. I don't think there's that.
Okay,
And
'cause
I think it'd be more
It's like
of
you have to know your roots.
like if you play with your hair, if you did like this and there's no
Uh-huh.
hair on your right side, then it would be a problem. Or in
Amber's going for sensation.
yeah.
So
Or however, if
sensory.
you like the way it feels, with that
Sure.
you might want it to be on the
Sure.
right side.
Okay.
And it's always, and then you have to think about your natural hair. Does it fall naturally to the left or to the right? If
Okay,
it's
she's
long.
now she's going style. Like she wants you to look good.
Yeah. So which way does it naturally fall?
Alexis
And-
is trying to figure it out.
Yeah. So I would be like, okay, am I going to sit like this and be more? Or am I going to sit like this and be more? Do I have a lump on the side of my head?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What side's thinner?
What's my good side?
Yeah, I've got a little depression right up here. But
So
not
yeah,
here.
so we might
Okay,
be the other
so
side
it has to be
now.
the other
Yeah.
side. Uh-huh.
And so yeah, but there's no hanky code
Yeah.
translation with
Okay.
that, so you're
Okay.
safe.
No,
If-
But I would
No
worry. I'd be like,
Okay.
it'd be my, luck
your
to
luck.
guess the wrong side.
Yeah,
Then I have
Because,
to go all the way.
lesbian
yeah,
math
sometimes,
is
damn it, I
like
promised this.
lesbian math is like what side is the fade on and what side's the carabiner on, and do they or do they not have an established
Well,
belt
and that was the other
buckle,
question that I had at one
yeah.
point in time.
Okay.
Was carabiners?
Well, no, if you have, a stronger carabiner, is that a good thing?
That's dick size.
I mean, you know, like most of my carabiners are like 40 newtons.
Then that says a lot about you.
Yes.
It says a lot about you.
Says like she could pull something.
It's like I can suspend a truck.
Like, I got you. Like, I'm on you. And so,
May or may not be into suspension.
Doesn't matter.
doesn't matter. Big carabiner. Hey, girl.
Also could save lives.
Yeah. Have multifunction purposes
Yes.
here. So that, carabiners, what else is...
And by the way, I laugh
belt
because
buckles.
I get rid of all of the ones that aren't strong, because it'd be my luck to be in an emergency and grab one that is like a 10-pound carabiner.
Right. You're like,
Right.
damn it.
And
That's not gonna do
for
it,
anyone
yeah.
who doesn't understand, like a 40 Newton, it's like a 5,600-pound carabiner or something like that.
Something there. We all can hang from that carabiner and be just fine.
Oh yeah, wouldn't be a problem at all.
I may or may not have 6 of those in my car for purposes.
For lesbian purposes.
You never know when someone's drowning and you have to tie off and be in there and have to trust that carabiner.
Okay, that's very true. That's very true. Alexis used to hang a lot of chains, so like that gets heavy.
Either way, I got you, girl. Who's there in the car?
I
If I hit you one, it's raining.
and it's funny because everybody's like, well, will that hold me? Like, I have a swing upstairs,
Sure.
hung on chain. And I mean, people who weigh like 100 pounds say, will that hold me after they see me get up? And I'm like, I'm not 100 pounds. I mean, thank you, I think.
Sure, it's going to hold me. Yes, get
And I'm sort of like, okay, each side will hold 2,700 pounds. And they're like, how do you know? And I'm like, that's dynamic, so you could drop 7 feet and not be hurt. And they're like, how do you know? I'm like, because that's the way I built it. Because I basically figure, who knows what people are going to do with this swing?
Right. We need to have it be sturdy and reliable. Reliable, safety first in this case.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And, you know, I don't want to have to clean up the blood.
Yeah,
There you
there's
go.
that.
There you go.
Except that I do have things to,
If that happens.
mediate that.
Safety first in that aspect.
Yeah, be able to save
Don't ruin
them.
my floors.
Be able to save them.
Well, or the floors.
Okay, so you're doing school, and you have Vegas coming up, and then you have possible sexy buddy fans that you could
They're
connect
on the
with.
list. They're on the pass list.
And then, are you open to people sponsoring you as an athlete or a student or
yes and yes.
So
being
if they
a
want me
fan
to-
of Amber? I mean, how
Yes, all of
Just
So,
them.
people
so how do they get a hold of you for that?
You can email me, you can call me, you can reach out to either one of you.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Either way is
Yes,
fine.
okay.
I am open to all ways of getting
And the email is?
Okay.
School email would be my last name, which is spelled the same way the pickle jar is spelled. So CLAUSSENA0054@uhcl.edu. Or the personal one, which is Froggy20, not spelled that way, PHRAWGY, the number 20 @gmail.com. And if you can't, you can always email the two of you, and then y'all can send it out.
We'll send it out for sure.